Okay, hello everybody. Hi Facebook. It's been a while since I've been on here, so I have a few things that I want to talk to you guys about, and I'm coming to you from my car. Of course, my youngest child is not sleeping yet, so I didn't want to get any spontaneous screams or anything in the background. But there's a few things I wanted to talk to you about, and let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully, when you pop on, if you just want to say hi, and I'll say hi back to you, or if you're watching the replay, if you could just let me know you're watching the replay. I hope you're all having a good Friday night, if you're not sleeping yet. All right, there's my mom. Hi, Mom. Looks like you could probably hear me okay. Just want to make sure that I'm not covering any speakers. All right, so I wanted to pop on here and talk a little bit about Heart Month and CHD Awareness Week. I know a lot of you know that, oh, thanks, Mom, you could hear me. Okay, good. All right, I know a lot of you know that I'm a big advocate for Heart Month and CHD Awareness Week. It's Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Week, which began today, February 7th. The entire month of February is Heart Month. February 7th through 14th is CHD Awareness Week. And since there's a lot of new people that I have in my network, I just like to explain a little bit on why spreading awareness and congenital heart disease is very important to our family. So we have a son. My husband and I have a son. His name is Ryan, and he is 12 years old. He'll be 13 on March 1st, and he has a congenital heart defect called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. For short, it's HLHS. We found out that Ryan was going to have this congenital heart defect when he was born. We found out when I was 17 weeks pregnant with him. We went to the routine doctor's visit at 17 weeks for the anatomy scan. I had a lot of ultrasounds because I am a type 1 diabetic, but this was just a typical second trimester anatomy scan that we went to check everything like everyone does. And they found that Ryan's heart looked abnormal. Basically, his left ventricle and his aorta were underdeveloped, and that is a major problem because all of your oxygenated blood in your left ventricle pumps out the aorta and to all of your body parts. So because they were underdeveloped, his oxygenated blood would go nowhere after he was born. So we found out this information when I was 17 weeks pregnant. We were referred to a pediatric cardiologist that was local in New Jersey, who also confirmed the diagnosis, and then she referred us to CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and they were the third people that confirmed the diagnosis. They told us at that time that we had choices. We could either go through with the pregnancy or not at 17 weeks, or we basically you had a choice, and that choice didn't even cross my mind to not go through the pregnancy. So we asked, what would happen to the baby after he or she were born. We didn't know what we were having, and they told us that the baby would not live probably past a week, like 7 to 10 days, if we didn't do surgical intervention. So our plan was to deliver the baby in Philadelphia so that he would be able to be right into CHOP so that he could get the cardiac care that he needed right away. So Ryan was born on March 1st, 2007 in Philadelphia, and we had that plan. I went there for a planned C-section. He had his first open heart surgery at 1 day old. He was in the hospital at that time for 5 weeks. We also found out that he had one kidney, which was interesting because he does not have a left kidney. So there were some complications after surgery, a couple weeks after surgery, because he had one kidney, because we didn't find that out until he was born. So they were trying to get his kidney functions under control, which they're good now. He got discharged from the hospital at 5 weeks old, and then he had to go back at 5 months old to get a heart catheterization. And then a couple weeks after that heart catheterization, he needed his second open heart surgery. So he was 5.5 months old when he had his second open heart surgery. He did good with that. He was discharged within a couple days after that. We were blessed to celebrate his first birthday, like 6 months later. And then around age 3, a month after he turned 3, he had to go in for his third open heart surgery, which was the completion of what they call the Fontan procedure. So Ryan went in for his third open heart surgery the day after Easter in 2010, and he did good with that as well. He was out of the hospital, I think, within 5 days. So it was less than a week, and we were very happy about that and blessed, and brought him home and thought that was the end of surgery. But then things got a little difficult. The end of August of 2010, Ryan began coughing. It was a continuous cough. Took him to the doctor multiple times over the next few weeks into the next couple months. And there's this cough that just never really went away. From the end of August of 2010 up until the beginning of December of 2010. We were at the doctor constantly. He was on steroids. He was on antibiotics. They tried so many different things. Couldn't figure out why he was coughing. Then we finally got to a pulmonologist, and the pulmonologist said, I think he needs nebulizer treatments, which is not uncommon. So he started his nebulizer treatments a day or two after that, by the time we got the medication and the nebulizer and everything. And after he started those nebulizer treatments, he was up the entire night coughing nonstop, could not sleep. So we knew that there was something really wrong, and we weren't really sure what that was. So I consulted with the cardiologist, I consulted with the pulmonologist, and they thought it would be best if we brought him to CHOP. And that was, I remember it was a Monday evening, December 13th, 2010, that we got to CHOP. And we got there, I think, at 8:30 at night, and they admitted him, which I was happy about because we didn't know why he was coughing, so we felt like he needed to be admitted. Turns out, after some testing, they realized he needed another heart catheterization while we were there, a bronchoscopy to see what was wrong with his lungs. They concluded that he needed a fourth open heart surgery, which was completely unexpected. He was supposed to be done after 3. So Ryan had his fourth open heart surgery on December 27th, 2010. It was 2 days after Christmas, and I'll never forget, it was a huge, terrible snowstorm that year. If anybody remembers the snowstorm after Christmas, it was December 27th, 2010, because we were in the hospital with Ryan in CHOP in Philadelphia when it was just terrible outside. So Ryan had the fourth open heart surgery. Basically, there was some tissue that was a little bit overgrown in a hole in his heart. This hole in his heart needs to be open because his blood flow goes completely differently through his entire heart. So because the blood was not flowing well through this hole because there was some tissue that grew back. That's why surgical intervention needed to be made, and they needed to basically cut out some of that tissue so that the blood could flow easily through that hole better again. So they did that. And he was good for the next couple of days after that surgery. We thought, this is great. I mean, it was terrible that we were in the hospital through the Christmas holiday, but we're like, okay, our son's getting better. He had this surgery. We found out the answer to his cough for 3 months. And then a couple days later, actually it was New Year's Eve. Right after the ball dropped on New Year's Eve, I remember it was right after midnight. Ryan was coughing and coughing and coughing and wouldn't stop. And we couldn't believe the cough came back because he had just had this 4th open heart surgery. So he coughed, and eventually he coughed something up. And I remember from the time that we were admitted into the hospital, all the doctors and nurses kept asking us constantly was, sorry, my spotlight came on in the driveway. All they kept asking us was, has he ever coughed anything up? And the answer was always no. So that he coughed something up a little after midnight on New Year's Eve, which was technically New Year's Day. And it looked like a piece of tissue, like tissue from your insides. It looked very weird. So after some back and forth that evening with the doctor that was there and the nurse that was there, they didn't really think that this tissue was anything significant, but we saved it so that the doctors who we normally saw in the morning could take a look at it. So the doctors took a look at it in the morning and they said, we believe this is plastic bronchitis. Now, a lot of people are like, plastic bronchitis, what the heck is that? Bronchitis just sounds like, something that anybody could be diagnosed with. Plastic bronchitis is a secondary problem to the heart condition that he has, or to any other heart condition, but it could be a secondary problem. So he coughed up this tissue. They said it was plastic bronchitis, and basically because his heart had so many high pressures, and there were so many high pressures in his heart because that hole in his heart was compromised for months and tissue had grown back and the blood flow wasn't going through his heart very well. And so it was causing very high pressures in the heart. And when there's high pressures in the heart, there's high pressures in the lungs. And the lungs started to grow this tissue-like stuff. And this tissue stuff basically grows in the bronchioles, in the branches of your lungs. And it was technically starting to suffocate him. Which is why he started coughing and coughing and coughing for 3 months, because it was the plastic bronchitis was starting to build up in the bronchioles of his lungs. And when he began the nebulizer treatments, when he finally saw that pulmonologist in December before he was admitted, the nebulizer treatments had moved those tissues around so much that that's why he continuously coughed and couldn't stop, which is why we ended up in CHOP. So here we are right after the new year. It was January 1st and he got the diagnosis of plastic bronchitis. They were trying to figure out what the plan was to do about that, to see if he needed another bronchoscopy. And that night, on New Year's, January 1st, that night, my husband was the one that stayed in his hospital room that night, and I was the one that went back to the Ronald McDonald House. We switched nights. I stayed one night at the hospital, he went to the Ronald McDonald House, and vice versa. We did that the entire time Ryan was in the hospital. So I got a call the next morning from my husband, very early. It was like 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and said, I think you better come to the hospital as soon as you can. He's been breathing heavily and sweating and just having a really hard time for quite a little bit. So I got up and got ready and went to the hospital right away, and he was breathing so bad, so heavily. My husband had stepped out of the room for the moment, and a lot of doctors had come in, and I just remember being there and just wondering, like, what's wrong. Like, he started to really struggle breathing. I went to get my husband down the hallway. He just took a walk for a moment, and because the doctors were in the room, and when we got back, which was literally 2 minutes later, there were a lot of people surrounding his bed, and basically Ryan was suffocating on more of those casts in his lungs. And what I have to say is that was the scariest day of our lives, because so many people were around his bed, and he couldn't breathe, and they realized that they needed to intubate him in an emergency, put a breathing tube down his throat. So that's what they did. It took quite some time. They allowed Kenny and I to stay in the room, back in the corner, obviously out of the way, but I wanted to be in the room. And we did see his heart rate going down for quite some time, because they had a hard time getting the tube down. Eventually they got the tube down, everything was all set up, and there was nothing but tons of medication machines next to our son. After that, I'm telling you that on January 2nd, 2011, they saved his life, because he probably would have been gone. And we were so blessed to be there, because they really helped him. So, sorry, it just takes me a minute. So the next morning, after all of that, the doctors did their rounds on Ryan first, because they told us that he was the sickest child on the unit, and they needed to have a plan for him. And they had a plan for him day by day to get him better. Ryan was intubated for 8 days. We found out within that time that one of his lungs was trying to collapse, and that his diaphragm was pushed up into his lung, and basically he needed a diaphragm plication, which was another surgery. So 8 days after he was intubated, he had his diaphragm plication, which fixed that problem. And after he had the surgery, they said they were going to try to extubate him, take the breathing tube out, and they were able to take that breathing tube out, thank God. For the weeks after that, he was getting physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, all in the hospital, trying to get better, trying to wean off his medications. He started smiling again, which, if you all know Ryan, you know that he smiles a lot. And it was wonderful. He couldn't walk. He was, by that point, it was the middle of January of 2011. He was almost 4, like 6 weeks from his 4th birthday, and he couldn't walk. He was very weak. But we got through that hospital admission. It was about 8.5 weeks, and we were blessed to find out that he was going to be discharged on February 11th, 2011. I wanted to explain our story a little bit, or should I say Ryan's story, a lot about what he's gone through. What has he gone through from a heart standpoint? What has he gone through from a lungs standpoint? And what February 11th really means to us. We didn't expect Ryan to be admitted into the hospital in December of 2010. We didn't expect him to need a 4th open heart surgery. We didn't expect to spend Christmas or New Year's or anything like that, those holidays there. We didn't expect when we brought him to the hospital that night that he was going to be going through all of this traumatic experience. We didn't expect him to be there for 8.5 weeks. We didn't expect him to be discharged on February 11th. We thought it was going to be much faster than that. So after this all happened, I realized I have to do something. I've always been open and about our story, about heart defects, about congenital heart disease, about please, if you're pregnant, ask at that second trimester ultrasound if there's any problems with your baby's heart. That's the most important question. And it's not just to be, annoying or want people to think that there's something wrong with their baby. But I want everyone to know how important it is for you to know if there is something wrong, because you have to have a plan before you have that child for their heart. You need to have a plan. You need to have them in the right place in case they need open heart surgery. And Ryan is always going to have a compromised heart. He's going to go through a lifetime of doctor's appointments. His heart is never going to be okay. It's not just, oh, he's okay now, he's fine. We are blessed that he is doing so well, that he is not needed to be in the hospital, that our cardiology visits are all routine cardiology visits. But we will always live every day, worried about him, because you just never know what may happen to his heart. He literally fights CHD with every single heartbeat. His heart does not have blood flow like our hearts do. And so when Heart Month comes around every year, I begin making my Heart Month posts every day for the month of February. I try to do something special for CHD Awareness Week, Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Week. And I'm not trying to be annoying. I'm trying to spread awareness. So that is why February 11th is big to our family, and why we ask family and friends if they'd like to wear red on February 11th every year, because that was the discharge date of Ryan's biggest fight for life. The hospital admission that almost took his life, and we are blessed to have him here. And that's why we choose February 11th. So, I am very honored and very pleased, and it just means the world to us every year that everybody participates and posts their red pictures or sends me texts or anything like that saying we are wearing red for Ryan. I can't tell you how much that means to me and my family. Ryan loves it. He has a big smile on his face all day because he knows it's for him. And I started this Red for Ryan day in 2012. So it was a year after he was discharged. We started the Wear Red for Ryan Day on February 11th, 2012. And then to take it a step further, in February of 2014, we started spreading awareness more and raising funds for the cardiac unit at CHOP. A lot of you may remember that we've done CHD awareness Zumbathons at some point in February, usually during CHD Awareness Week, somewhere between February 7th and 14th. we did CHD awareness Zumbathons. We raised a lot of money with those. We were very grateful for the Zumba instructors that put those Zumbathons on, because obviously I wouldn't be able to do that by myself. So we were grateful for everyone's time and efforts in helping us put those events on. We were grateful for everyone participating. And from 2014 until 2019, that was 6 years, we had a Zumbathon each year. We raised a total of, let me just look, $8,850 for the cardiac unit at CHUP. So 6 years, $8,850 cardiac unit at CHOP we were able to give to them for raising funds. So we are very grateful for everyone that donated as well. This year we decided to do something a little bit different. I got an email from CHOP that they were putting on that they have an event called the Philly Spin-In event. And basically it's like a spin class, stationary bike, big fundraiser event. It's a huge event that many teams can participate in. It's almost like, the walks that you go to by the beach and stuff like that. Team this, team that for diabetes walks, MS walks, stuff like that. This is a walk for Heart Month, and it's actually benefiting the cardiac unit at CHOP. And so we decided that we were going to participate this year. The event is on Sunday, March 8th. And we named our team Ryan's Heart of Happiness. We are really excited about this because like I said before, if you know Ryan, he is always smiling. And he is always happy. And people just tell me this over and over again. He's always smiling. He's always happy. He's such a happy boy. Now, let me tell you, at home, it's a little bit different because he does fight with his 4-year-old sister. And he does argue. So he's not always smiling and happy. He can be a little, he's starting to get into those teenage years. But in general, Ryan is always smiling and always happy. So we decided to name our team Ryan's Heart of Happiness. We have a direct link to donate to for this event, and our goal is to raise $1,000 before the day of the event. And like I said, the day of the event is on March 8th, so it's just like about 4 weeks away. This Sunday it will be 4 weeks away. It's a month away. So our goal is to raise $1,000 for the Philly Spin-In. All donations are going to the cardiac unit at CHOP. So I am going to post a link for the Ryan's Heart of Happiness donation page. You could either donate directly to the team itself, or you could click on the roster tab and you could pick a teammate to donate to. Right now the teammates are just me and my husband. It really doesn't matter. You could donate to the regular team or under one of our names. And if anybody is interested in joining the event, like if you want to participate with us and come with us to Philly that day, and ride a stationary bike with us, you're more than welcome. We can have anywhere between 2 to 6 members to a bike, and there's just the 2 of us right now. So we'll be riding away, sweating our butts off, but it's all for a good cause. But if anybody is interested in coming with us to do that, just let me know and I will give you more details on that. But we wanted to explain a little bit about what Ryan's Heart of Happiness is, what the meaning behind it all is, the meaning of Heart Month, CHD Awareness Week for our family, and why we do fundraisers every year. We want to give back to the hospital and to the unit that gave our son back to us, because they literally gave him back to us. After 4 open heart surgeries and that emergency intubation 9 years ago, they gave him back to us. And we are so grateful and so blessed for every day, every minute that we have with him, because you just never know. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit. And if you have any questions about Heart Month, CHD Awareness Week, Read for Ryan Day, which is February 11th, or Ryan's Heart of Happiness fundraiser, which is the day of the event is March 8th, just please let me know, and I will be happy to answer all your questions. I also wanted to leave a little side note. If you know anyone who has a child with heart disease, or if you yourself are watching this and you have a child with heart disease, or if you're affected by congenital heart defects and need somebody to talk to, please reach out to me. I feel that I want to be there for any parent, any new parent, any parent that is struggling with this, any parent at all that has a child with heart disease. Please, just let anybody know that I am willing to talk to you. I am willing to offer support to you if you just need to rant and rave about the hard days, about the hard times, about the doctor appointment or anything. I'm here, and that's what I want to do. I want to comfort people, because I want everyone to know that there's hope. There is so much hope, and every day is a blessing, and I just want you to take that to heart. Okay, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me, message me, text me. If you don't have my number, message me and I will give you my number. I just don't post it on Facebook. All right, but please reach out to me if you need anything. So thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing our story. I truly appreciate it, and heart hugs to all. Okay, love you guys. Bye.